Okay, welcome to another episode of Lasorda's Lounge. My name is Steve. This is my partner, Chris. And we're here to talk today about the Cubs and the Rays. Are they contenders or pretenders?
No one
We're
talks
gonna,
about the Rays.
I know, the Cubs and the Rays. And I was thinking about this before we started rolling. This is Lasorda's Lounge. We talk about every team. This is a baseball podcast. And I'm tending to talk about the Cubs a lot since we started the show, and for
I have a
good reason. I
theory.
mean,
I
they're
have
one
a
of the
theory.
more interesting teams.
My theory,
And
Steve. You do
what's
not
your
want to talk
theory?
about the Dodgers. You're trying to keep it on the down low, the two-time champions. You
Yeah,
know everyone's talking about the Dodgers, and so here we
that's
are
right.
in Lasorda's Lounge, and you don't talk about the Dodgers because you know how good they are, and this like quiet menace that's sort of back there. But we will talk about them. I know. I mean, summer is here. Baseball's heating up. Your Dodgers have a 4.5 game lead. Doesn't seem huge at this point, but they
Hmm,
have it. It's going to grow. Braves have a 9.5 game lead. What's happening since last time we talked?
I know.
Fernando Tatis hit his first home run of the season
It's
today.
shocking. Hey, I'm
Crazy.
just glad to see the Padres starting to struggle a little bit, and the Diamondbacks are playing well. I'm sure we'll be able to. We'll have plenty to talk about with the Dodgers later in the season. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I never get too cocky, but hopefully we'll be talking about them a lot in October. But
that's your
until
goal.
then,
Yeah. You can
until
talk about the
then,
Astros, right? We had the first
oh,
no
oh,
hitter, the
mm,
first no hitter
oh,
with your beloved Astros. What was
yeah,
kind of
against those
crazy,
powerful Rangers.
but Imai has been terrible, and he
Oh,
pitches a gem, and then to close the game, the Astros manager brought in some guy named Santa. It was his major league debut. He threw 2 innings of no hit ball in his first major league debut. What manager does that with a no hitter on the line?
well, when you're playing against the Rangers, I mean, it might be the most improbable no hitter ever. Really, Imanaga had a uh, 8 ERA going
Yeah,
into that game.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, the rookie closes out
yeah.
a no hitter. That's just insane.
And it's like
Yeah.
Santa. It's like Christmas every day, right? Yeah, there you go. He just came in and
Yeah.
dominated. So yeah, Imai,
All right.
Imai
So
was good.
let's.
So
Yeah. Imai. Sorry, not Imanaga. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So let's talk Cubs and then we'll talk Rays and
sounds
figure
good.
out which of these teams is for real. All right. So as I mentioned, we talk a lot about the Cubs for some reason. They're a very interesting team this season. They're playing the Cardinals this weekend, by the way, which I think will be a really interesting series to see what happens because the Cardinals have been playing really good baseball for a team that really dropped all their veteran stars or maybe once upon a time stars and started over. They're playing really good. And I think this weekend will be a litmus test for both those teams, playing their arch rivals. But the Cubs have been so up and down this year, more than any other team in baseball. And for a team that was expected to win the division, it's really interesting to see them go on these huge uh, losing streaks and turn it around and have a huge win streak and then turn around and have another losing streak. It's just they can't seem to find their way. They go through these stretches where they can't hit at
Yeah.
all. And then all of a sudden their pitching gets cold just at the wrong time. It's been so interesting to watch this team, Chris.
I don't know about their pitching gets cold. Their pitching gets hurt.
Mm,
They've lost 3 starters, and I think Cabrera just went out as well too. So their fourth starter is down, and I think pitching's part of it. And I'm with you. I mean, I think this weekend against the Cardinals is big. It's always big, Cardinals and Cubs. And both of us, I think, picked the Cardinals to finish last, and lo and behold, they're fantastic. But this will be a bloody rivalry. And I have told you before, when I lived in Chicago, my first Chicago Cubs game was against the Cardinals, and I remember
mm.
a Cubs fan leaning over to a Cardinals fan walking by, and he screamed at her, "You're fat!" And I'm
Oh,
like, wow, you know?
wow.
And this poor lady was walking by, just probably like 3 hot dogs in her hand, but she was there to watch a game at the friendly confines, and she walked by the not so
Wow.
friendly place. So it'll be a bloodbath there this weekend. The Cubs need to play well. What's your theory? I mean, 2 10-game win streaks, a
Yeah.
10-game losing streak. Like that's nuts. Teams don't do that other than the Dodgers, right?
It's happened a few times. 2017, that World Series bound team lost 10 in a row. But let me just to put this into perspective, let me share this screen with you. Hopefully I'm sharing. Can you see
I've got it.
the
Yep.
records? Okay, great. All right, so this is the Cubs record over the course of the season. So you can see they started out, they were pretty mediocre. You know,
Yeah.
they started basically 500, 7-9 to start the season. Then they got hot. From April 15th, the last third week of April, they won 10 in a row and just set the league on fire. They could do no wrong. Then they kind of stalled. They kind of started to show some cracks in that veneer for about 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden they tanked. From May 16th to 26th, they could not hit at all. And then since then, they've just been, they're still pretty bad. They're 3-9. I think eight, you mentioned 2-8 in their last 10. So this has been the roller coaster season that the Cubs are experiencing. So
Mm.
I went back and looked at the starting lineup for the Cubs. So where are they in terms of their hitting, in terms of their pitching? So this is a pretty good lineup, Chris. Pete Crow Armstrong, Dodger hater number one, leading off in center field.
Well,
Um,
he's too busy arguing with ladies out in the outfield. I don't know if you saw that, but it did
yes.
warrant an apology for crossing the line of being a little too competitive.
Yeah, he's got a little mouth on him, but he's okay. I kind of like it. I kind of like that he's pops off. I like the rivalry aspect. He's hitting 224 this season, but he's been consistent. He hasn't really been up and down. Nico Horner also hitting not great, 250, but pretty consistent. Michael Bush also pretty consistent. He's former Dodger. He's hitting about 240. Bregman is having a good year. Alex Bregman, whom I will never root for, and thank God the Dodgers looked away from him. He's hitting just under 300. Maybe he's hitting 270 or 260, but he's been also very consistent at the plate. Ian Happ, the guy that's been inconsistent,
Yeah.
the guy that's been up and down is Seiya Suzuki, and he's your right fielder. He's in the position in your lineup that you have to have production from your right fielder. He is currently hitting, let me just look this up. He's hitting 252 right now. But he went through a stretch
Yeah.
when they were 0-10 where he went 2 for 34. He hit 114 during that stretch. And you say, well, that's your number 6 hitter. Does it really make that much of a difference? But when it's your right fielder and you're relying on him to knock in runs, and the top of the lineup is having an average year, when your guy that was hitting, close to 300 or maybe a little over 300 goes in the tank,
Yeah.
you just can't score any runs. And I don't want to pin it on one guy, but Suzuki has been the guy that's really been inconsistent in that lineup and kind of up and down. When he hits, the Cubs win. When he doesn't hit, the Cubs do not win. And just looking at the numbers, that's what I saw as a pattern to try and explain this. And Dansby Swanson, which I would love to have Dansby Swanson. I know he's former Brave,
Oh
isn't
yeah.
he? He's a
He is a
great little shortstop. He's kind of having an off year, but I want him to do well. He's only hitting. He's not at the Mendoza line actually. He's only hitting about 190, but otherwise, that's a good lineup. I think they're going to hit. I'm going to call them a contender, Chris, but Suzuki's going to have to pull it together.
in today's game, maybe we need to rethink the Mendoza line and bring it down to 210.
Mm.
Because I think the major league average right now, and I was going to talk about this a little later, is now 240, and we're on pace to have
Wow.
one of the lowest average batting averages for all of Major League Baseball. But to lose 10 games in a row, it's going to be catastrophic. Lots of people have to not be hitting, and that's what was happening. And to win 10 games in a row, you've got to have that weird 210 hitter who comes up and just bloops one out there for some walk off win. I have to believe the Cubs are just too talented to not win this crazy division where everyone's still above 500, you know.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't want to come down to the last day and have to face Paul Skeens or,
Right.
face a red hot Reds team. You never know. So the Cubs really need to take advantage of that division. And I just don't know. I mean, the Brewers are playing great. Who could have
Somehow.
who could have predicted that other than everyone who watches the Brewers and not me because they
Right.
always seem to do it. So I just think the Cubs can't fall too far behind because the Brewers they're scoring in lots of interesting ways. And I think that yeah, I'll talk about this a little later as well too with the Rays. The Brewers are one of those teams they manufacture runs. They hit home runs, they get guys around. The Cubs don't do that as much. So when you're not hitting and you're waiting for the ball to fly out in the outfield, the bleacher bums out there, it's a long time. And when your pitching goes down, your pitching goes down.
Yeah.
So they need to get going soon, or season's one third of the way through.
That NL Central division is amazing. The Pittsburgh Pirates, fifth place, last place
Yeah,
in that division at
yeah.
30 and 28, would be in third place and probably a strong contender in the American League Central. All right, Chris, let's talk about the Rays. What do you got for me?
The Rays are pretty amazing, and I'll ask the question: are they for real? And I expected to have a Cubs conversation because they're the Cubs. Everyone loves the Cubby Bears or hates the Cubby Bears, but the Rays. Both of us in our preseason predictions picked them to finish last. They currently have the second best record in baseball, 35 and 19.
It's
They have a
shocking.
1.5 game lead on the Yankees, who are playing well, and Steve, the Rays are 20 and 5 at home. 20 and 5.
Wow.
Anything baseball, and I like how they're doing it. Luckily, they also have a series against the Angels this weekend. That'll help, right? That should certainly help the old record. And
Right.
I really racked my brain, like, how are they doing this? And I know they do it every year. They're always scrappy that way until they lose their players. But I would just need to find out how they are doing this. And more importantly, is anyone going to care? Average
Mm,
home attendance in baseball. Dodgers, as always, 50,000. Braves, 37,000. Mets, 30,000, 37,000. Giants, who are terrible, 37,000. The, the 20 and 5 at home, they're averaging less than 17,000 fans a night.
I think all the fans are waiting for the new ballpark. Didn't they just finalize their plans for a new ballpark in Tampa Bay, I think.
Who knows who will be there at this point from this roster? So
That's
I don't
true.
know. Tampa just needs to show up because you know what? They've got a lot of cool stuff to see. Do you have my picture to show?
I do. Look at these uniforms.
Oh my,
Look at that.
that is so great. Look at that
Man.
array. Oh, on the hat. That is. By the way, I prefer devil rays to rays. I mean, we changed this for satanic reasons, right? There were complaints, but that's just a fantastic uniform. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm generally not a fan of the purple. We
Yeah.
used to call it Forum Blue when the Lakers were in the Forum, but yeah, there's something about this logo with the tail, with the ray and the wings.
Yeah.
It's a really cool jersey. They did a
I
great
would
job with that.
I would buy one of those right now and wear it to work if I could.
I
Love
love
it.
that. I love it.
So Steve, how do you think they're winning? What we talked about how name. I think on our original broadcast we said name four Rays, and we had done all of our
Yeah.
research. But how do you think they're winning? What do you think they're combined? What's in the soup down there in Tampa other than the Tampa weather, right? It's 9,000 degrees humidity.
Well, we talked about the ballpark.
Yeah,
So I think you got to start there. Like Tropicana Field, actually, remember they were playing in the minor league, the Yankees minor league ball, Steinbrenner Field last year. The players hated it. It's what
yeah.
the A's are going through now. They don't have the facilities. It's a small little box of a stadium, and as crappy as Tropicana Field is, they've done some upgrades. They fixed the roof, and I think the players I read about them saying that how happy they were to be home.
Yeah.
And they rattled off like 16 out of 18 or something like that when they went back to the Trop. So I think that's part of it, that home field advantage and just getting some home cooking and getting away from a minor league ballpark.
I've always wondered if it sort of hurts you when you play in the same city where you have spring training. So the Florida
Yeah.
teams are down there in spring training, and then they play in the exact same weather and don't change the location. The Dodgers, they would go to Vero Beach for so many years and then go back to LA. And, there was something about going away and getting ready. It's like the Lakers used to always practice in Hawaii, right? Before the season
Right.
started. And I don't know if like the Rays and the Marlins just they move across the street. Right? The Twins at least to get to go to Minnesota and then go down to Florida. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing to see like how they're winning. And so I was trying to dig into the numbers. And you know me, first and foremost, I'm a pitching guy. That's a Braves fan.
Hmm.
And their pitching's really good. Their starting pitching is really
Yeah.
good. And this shocked me. They are first in starter ERA, 2.8.
That's
And
incredible.
if you would have
Sub
asked
three.
me sub three, 2.8, and that's without their best pitcher. So, Pepio is out for the entire season. And I'm like, okay, well, how are these five starters having that good of an ERA? Because they're not overpowering and they don't walk people. They have one of the lowest walk rates in all of baseball, and they don't give up a lot of home runs. So their home runs, they're fifth best in the MLB. They are fourth best in walk rate for baseball,
Wow.
and the only pitcher in that starting five that has just an ace, like a bomb of an arm, is Shane McClanahan, and he's coming back from arm injury, and
Mm.
he's nasty, and he's lost. I read 1.5 miles an hour off of his fastball, so he's
Wow.
doing it with changeups and sliders. But I mean, they have Drew Rasmussen, who has a 2.78 ERA. Steven Matz is 35 going on 95, right? And he's got a 3.7 ERA. And Nick Martinez, who got a win against the Angels last night, has an ERA of 1.51.
Wow.
1.51. So their starters are just getting the job done. And then I went to the bullpen, and me, I'm a bullpen guy, and I'm like, well, who's their closer? Brian Baker,
Never heard of him. Full
2.31.
disclosure.
He's third. He is third in saves behind, shockingly, Cade Smith from the Guardians, who has been lights out, and Mason Miller. He's got
Yeah.
15 saves. He's got 2.31 ERA. He's been fantastic. Their bullpen is also locked down, and their bullpen is seventh in the league. So it's pitching, pitching, pitching. It puts them in every single game. And then the other part that I have to go to, which is hitting. And I'm going to ask you a fun little trivia question. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
Which team in baseball has scored the most runs? It's not the Rays, by the way.
I think it's the Nationals.
Yep, I knew you'd get that. How is that possible? And by the way, and
So
they
weird.
they still in run differential are in the negative figures. So the Nats have scored more
Yeah.
runs than anyone in baseball, and they've given
Mm.
up more runs than anyone in baseball. But the Nats are just rolling it up. In some ways, it's almost like if you gave the Nats if you gave them a decent pitching staff, they'd be okay. And that's sort
Hmm.
of what we have here with the Rays as they play similar baseball. The Rays have a far above average batting average for the league. If the league average is 240, the Rays are hitting 262.
Wow.
So they are 27th in home runs and first in average. They are hitting a higher average than the Dodgers, the Braves, the Yankees, which is nuts. They are third in on base. They just get on base. And here's what I think is happening. When they get on base, they make things happen. And we've been talking about this a lot. Steve, if you were a batter today, what would you do with 103, 103, 102, 99 mile an hour sinker? I mean, it's crazy what dudes are throwing.
Hmm.
What
Oh
would you
yeah,
do?
that. I mean, if I was a batter in the major leagues up against
That cry.
just pray to walk. I mean, get up there and just try to hack.
Well, they are walking at a much higher rate, and they're getting on base at such a high percentage. And once they're there, they're doing something different, and I think this is kind of fun. So if you look at their lineup, Yandy Diaz is fifth in average. He is hitting 313. Jonathan Ronda is hitting 290. Junior Caminera is hitting 267 with 13 bombs. So the top of their lineup is doing
Hmm.
kind of what they want to do. But after that, they had these guys who were just kind of moving people over. So this kind of surprised me. Have you ever heard of Chandler Simpson
Nope.
hitting 292?
Isn't
Yes,
he on Friends?
yeah, Chandler. Yes, a
That
bing,
right.
right? Yes, he has 62 hits already, and this is what I love
Wow.
is of those 62 hits, five of them have been bunt for hits. So
Oh,
the
wow.
Rays
Okay.
are
Playing
leading
small
the
ball.
league. They
Hmm.
are. They're leading the league in bunt hits. They already have 12 bunt hits so far for base hits. Chandler Simpson has 5, and they've also had more sacrifice bunts. So they've had 14 of 19 successful sacrifice bunts. So they're moving guys over, they're bunting for hits, and they're just finding ways to keep people on the base moving at all times. So when you're facing 103, 102, 101, nasty spin, they're just finding ways not to strike out when guys are on base to keep the wheels going.
You
And
know what's interesting about that, really quick, is I'm going to just have you pause for a second. Um, I always my mindset, because I'm older, I'm 58, so I always think about American League teams as relying on the 3-run homer,
yep,
trying to hit home runs, and National League teams as maybe playing a little small ball, trying to win 2-1, 3-2.
yep,
But that's because we did not have the DH, you know,
yes.
10, 15 years ago. Now, I mean, the game is so changed. So when you see any team trying to play small ball, it's almost like a strategy that's forgotten, that's been lost. It's
Think of
really
how
interesting. Yeah.
Think of how successful the Cardinals were with Vince Coleman and Willie McGee at
Oh,
1 and 2,
yeah.
and they were
Right.
just getting on base. They were putting down bunts. They were starting to steal. They were fast, and he threw in Ozzie Smith at the back of the lineup to do the same thing,
On that
and
turf.
on
Oh,
that
yeah.
turf, and it was just nasty. And you saw these guys really moving, and so I was really intrigued because I was trying to figure out like they're teams we expect to win. And there are teams who have kind of shocked us this year that when we talked about the Guardians, we weren't quite sure how they were going to get this done. And the Guardians have two of the best pitchers in baseball right now. Gavin Williams has been crazy. Parker Mesnick has been crazy. But they are also one of they're leading the league they're second in stolen bases.
Hmm.
So the Marlins are stealing bases. The Nats, who were again giving up tons of runs and scoring tons of runs, the Nats are second in stolen bases, and they're moving. So the teams that are leading in stolen bases, the Nationals, and they're playing above where we expected them to be. I'm
Hmm.
sorry, the
And
Marlins
leading the league in runs.
and
Right.
leading in runs, and then the Marlins are top in stolen bases. The Rays are high in stolen bases. The Brewers are high in stolen bases. The Guardians are high in stolen bases. So I think all of these teams that are not spending the kind of money as the Dodgers and the Braves and the Mets are finding other ways to deal with the nastiness of pitchers today and the depth of
Hmm.
bullpens by getting on the move and stealing bases. And I don't think we're going to get to where we once were, where Ricky Henderson would steal 120, but the Marlins already have 68 stolen bases. The Nats have 57. The Padres have 54. The Rays have 53. So I
Hmm.
think that these mid-market teams are, channeling their Lou Brock and Vince Coleman and Tim Rock Reigns and finding a way to move around. So it's like
Hmm.
small ball is back in some kind of weird way. And I read an interview with Kevin Cash, the Rays manager, talking about this, and he had a great quote. Hitting is fucking hard.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with this? You try to throw the pitchers off. You're squaring around for bunts. You're trying to, poke it to spots where guys you beat the shift with it. So it's interesting that I should be more of a Rays fan. Now they have these wonderful uniforms, but they kind of play a brand of baseball that I'm enjoying. Um, And I'll give you one more trivia question. Um, there is a guy in baseball who has 9 bunt hits already. Any
He's
guesses?
not, he's not a Dodger.
Not a Dodger, not a Brave, not a Brave.
Who is he?
David Hamilton of the Brewers has 9 bunt hits already. He has 28 total hits for the year, 9 of them via the bunt.
When the shift was real severe before they instituted these rules that prevented the real severe shift, like in adding that, making the third baseman play short and the short play a
Yep.
second baseman. I always wondered, like, if you just lay down a bunt
Every game, I would
at the
just
third
be
baseman,
throwing my hands in the air like, "Come
yeah,
on, just
absolutely, come on, man.
yeah."
But instead, everyone's trying to yank the ball or pull it.
Yep.
Anyway, well, that was cool. That was interesting, Chris. So smaller budget, small ball, maybe
Yeah. You know
something
what they
like
say?
that, and it's
Small
working for
budget,
these
small
teams.
ball. Yeah.
There you go. All right, so Chris, we're going to get back on schedule now that our travels have done. So hopefully we'll see each other in the next week or two, and we'll see you as well. Thanks
Absolutely.
for joining us.